So we are still in the chapter on the conditions of the validity of prayer. So let us begin from here. All these things that we mentioned last week. Last week we spoke about the covering of the aura. The covering. Last thing we covered was the covering of the aura. So we mentioned that for men in prayers, the aura is anything between the navel and to the knee, including a navel and knee. Likewise for the slave woman. Likewise for the slave woman. As for the woman, normal woman, free woman, the aura is the whole body except in the face and the hands. So this is basically what he mentioned. Wala yajibu satru min asfal. This is the last thing which I stopped in the last week. So he said that it is not any compulsory to cover our bodies from below. So if a person is wearing jubbah for example and kain sarung, and he is standing for example on the third floor, so a person in the first floor can see the hips. The person from the first floor can see the hips, and it is haram to peep at people's aura. But if the person is praying for example, is the prayer valid? Yes, the prayer is valid. Because why? Because you are seeing from below. You are seeing from below, so it doesn't count. It is valid. Unless if a person sees from on top or from the side. So when it comes from the side, last week also I mentioned about the Malay telekong. Because Malay telekong if it is short, there is a possibility when a woman for example does the ruku, it can be seen from the side. For example, the elbows, if the elbows is exposed, the hand is exposed, the aura can be seen from behind or from the side. Then only it will not be valid. But if she is using the Malay telekong which is very long, that is below the waist area for example, then inshallah the prayer will be valid. And we should not make difficult for people. This is another thing I find sometimes in like in Malaysia, in Indonesia, they start talking about things that is not any important. Wallahi, things that is not any important. You are making things difficult for the common people. It is better to speak about khushu in prayers, or even to explain certain things properly. But if you start to speak about very delicate issues and very subtle issues, and then it causes a confusion, and then people start to contemplate about how the years that they have been praying, and now it is not valid, but actually it is a misunderstanding. You see, I believe that people who are teaching fiqh, they should also be careful not to speak about things that can confuse people, and things that are not really important. So we have to explain certain things properly, and if there is any difference, we also have to look at the kind of khilaf. If this is a minor difference where majority of the ulama did not speak about this, you have maybe 2 or 3 people speaking certain opinions, we cannot surface it to the public. But if discussions amongst the scholars for example, that is okay. We can we can discuss to the things, to the little things. But when it comes to the common people, sometimes it can be a reason of confusion. I remember before COVID 3 years ago, someone the video became viral. Someone is saying that if you cook curry and then the curry spills on your shirt, you cannot perform any prayers, because there are traces of blood in the curry that is not forgiven. They speak about all these things, and then it becomes an issue. So all these things we say, it should not surface in the first place. We should not make things difficult for. We should not make things difficult for people. So these are some of the examples. But of course, unless if a person wears shirt or wears jubbah and so on and so forth, and you can see the aura from the side, for example, if the cloth is torn, or the cloth is short, as in the Malay telekong, as what we mentioned, is short in a way that when she does the ruku, the thing about Malay telekong, if it is short, if she does the ruku, because I think what is banned by some of ulama, even in books of fiqh, when she does the ruku, what happens? A person from the back can see the elbows. So now this is also important. I need to take note, and in the sense that we are saying what is important for her is not to wear a telekong that is short. A telekong that is short. But you know what I meant earlier that caused the confusion is that despite a person wearing long telekong, there are people now are saying that you cannot wear Malay telekong at all. Now this becomes a problem. For people who have been praying for so many years and they are using Malay telekong in Singapore, in Malaysia, and so that cannot be true. That statement cannot be true, and we have to explain clearly what is meant is if the aura can be seen from the side when she is doing the ruku, for example, or when she is doing the sujud and the elbow is exposed, for example, then only the prayer becomes invalidated. But if not, the prayer is valid, and no matter what you call the telekong, whether it is a Malay telekong or a Chinese telekong. So now we go on into the next one. وَيَجُوزُ سَتْرُ بَعْضِ الْعَوْرَةِ بِيَدِهِ. It is permissible to cover part of the aura of his hand. And for example, if he knows that the hips area there is a hole in the cloth, the aura can be seen. So all the while in prayer he uses his hand to cover. But he cannot leave the hand all the way. Because why? Once he leave the hand, the aura will be exposed and the prayer becomes invalidated. So he cover all the way. That is permissible. Using the hands. فَإِنْ وَجَدَ مَا يَكْفِي سَوْأَتَيْهِ تَعَيَّنَ لَهُمَا. If a person cannot find anything to cover the aura, then to cover the whole aura, he has to give preference to the saw'atain. Saw'atain basically the front aura and the back aura. So if a person is in jungle, for example, and there is no clothes, so he should take some efforts to take some of the leaves for example, at least cover the front part and the back part, or take the mud and cover the aura, so that the color of the skin cannot be seen. This also we mentioned last week, that one of the meanings of covering of the aura is making sure that the color of skin is not seen. فَإِنْ وَجَدَ مَا يَكْفِي سَوْأَتَيْهِ تَعَيَّنَ لَهُمَا أَوْ أَحَدَهُمَا فَيُقَدِّمُ قُبُلَهُ. If it's only one case where a person has only something to cover either one, the front and the back, which one is more important? The front. Why? Because you are facing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so the front is more important than the back. Then he mentioned وَيُزِرُ قَمِيصَهُ أَوْ يَشُدُّ وَسَطَهُ إِنْ كَانَتْ عَوْرَتُهُ تَظْهَرُ مِنْهُ فِي رُكُوعِ أَوْ غَيْرِهِ. Now this is important. Sometimes a person is praying and the collar is very big. Imagine, the collar is very big. So when he does the ruku, a person from the front he can see the aura, that is the navel and below the navel. So in this instance, what does he do? What he can do is he can sew the collar to make it tighter to such an extent when he does the ruku, none of the aura can be seen from the front. Tamam? Or he use his hand. He use his hand to cover, so that when he does the ruku, the aura cannot be exposed. Now, so either he sew the collar, or he use a cloth to tie his body above the navel, so that when he does the ruku, it is not seen. In Sana'a in Yemen, it is their tradition that they put a cloth in the center. This is the Yemeni tradition. They put a cloth in the center of the jubbah. So if you see Yemenis, they will wear a full jubbah, the full qamis, and then they will put a cloth in between. Sometimes it's like a big belt, and then they have a dagger. So one of the wisdom of wearing this kind of clothing is in prayer, so that when you do your ruku, and when especially your aura will not be exposed from the front. Aywa. So I hope it is clear, inshallah. Now when we go on to the condition number 9, is syartu tasi' istiqbalul qiblati, facing the qibla, illa fi salati shiddatil khawf. So it is compulsory as a Muslim, and when we pray we have to face the qibla. And what is meant by the qibla here is Kaaba. But there are certain instances that it is not compulsory for you to face the qibla. Illa fi salati shiddatil khawf. Shiddatul khawf, the prayer of shiddatul khawf is when a person, for example, is in a war field, is in the battlefield, that the enemy is facing you. So this is called shiddatul khawf. In this instant, it's not compulsory for you to face the Qibla. So you can face wherever you want, because you are in a battlefield fighting the enemy, as well as you are performing your prayers. Because battlefield in a battle, timing is not fixed. Sometimes a battle can take place from morning till night non-stop. Non-stop meaning constantly the enemy is somewhere trying to kill you. So you have to hide, you have to run, sometimes you have to walk, you have to crawl, and so on. So it is not any conducive that in a battlefield that you perform your prayers just like as normal time and you'll be killed. So what you do, while you are crawling, while you are walking, you can perform the Zuhur prayers. For example, the Zuhur prayers has come. Okay, perform any Zuhur prayers. Do the takbir, and if you can face the Qibla, you face the Qibla while takbir, and if not, you perform your prayers, and your prayers is valid. So this is called Salat Shiddatul Khawf. So there is no facing of the Qibla. The second situation where it is not compulsory to face the Qibla is fi nafli safaril mubah. For the traveling. When a person is a traveler, safar al mubah. Safar al mubah meaning it is not a travel that travel of ma'siyah. There is no sin in that traveling. Meaning you are not gambling for example, you are not going into a place to gamble or na'uzubillah min zalik to commit any ma'siyah. If your intention to travel is an intention which is halal, which is permitted by the Sharia, this is called safar al mubah. And this kind of traveling, not necessarily it is a long travel, must be more than 2 marhala. Even a short travel, meaning after you left your country, for example, you can perform the sunnah prayers not facing the Qibla. So here the author is speaking about only sunnah prayers. Remember this, not fard prayers, sunnah prayers. So for example, while you are traveling, for example, if you are musafir, you go out of your country, and then while taking a bus or taking a plane or taking a car, you want to pray duha, for example, and you have wudu, you want to pray the duha prayers. So you can perform the duha prayers, and it is not compulsory for you to face the Qibla except in the time of takbir. Except in the time of takbir. Now, this is in a case where it is possible for you to do it. But if not, you can perform your prayers and you face where the vehicle brings you. So because you are inside the vehicle, if you are in a plane or you are in a a ship and so on and so forth, you can perform your prayers without facing the Qibla. فَإِنْ كَانَ فِي مَرْقَدٍ أَوْ فِي سَفِينَةٍ أَتَمَّ رُكُوعَهُ وَسُجُودَهُ وَاسْتَقْبَلَ. But if a person is praying on a vehicle where he can pray standing and ruku and sujud normally, like nowadays, for example, you take the ship which is very big, so you can perform your prayers normally, then it's wajib for you to do so. Likewise, nowadays, when we take aeroplanes, certain aeroplanes like Saudiya, they have this musalla at the back. So you can perform your prayers at the musalla now, and it becomes compulsory for you to pray while standing and doing your ruku, because now you have the ability to do so. Just like when you are on the ship or you are on the on a big vehicle, for example, like nowadays, like some buses they have places that you can pray. Then you have to perform your prayers as per normal. وَإِن لَمْ يَكُنْ فِي مَرْقَدٍ. But if it is not possible to do so, like for example, you take a plane that is a budget plane, you have to pray while sitting down, correct or not? And you cannot be praying while standing up, and there is no space. Like you take Jetstar, for example, just an example. So this is you can perform your prayers while you are sitting down. This is what the author mentioned. If you are not in a place anywhere, it's possible to perform the prayers, like marqad is a place anywhere a person can stand, a place anywhere a person can sleep. So last time they have this type of caravan where a person Wallahu alam, a person can stand and can do the ruku', and can what you call it, do any the sujud, and when the animal stops, just like khawdaj. Last time camels, and they have this like big thing any on top any of the camel, any where people any can perform any the prayers. But if a person any is not any in that situation, wala fi safinatin, not any on the big ship, fa in kana rakiban, if a person yani is riding, istaqbala fi ihramihi faqat, so he face the qibla just any in the takbiratul ihram, in sahula alayhi, if yani facing any the qibla during the takbiratul ihram yani is easy for him, then it is compulsory upon him any to face any the qibla. For example, any when we are performing any we want to perform our prayers any in the car when we are traveling. So if we know any the qibla, for example, and we can face any the qibla during the takbiratul ihram, so we face the qibla during takbiratul ihram, Allahu Akbar, and then any we perform any our prayers focusing any in front, because any that is any the place where the car any is bringing us. So this any becomes any the qibla for us. This becomes any the qibla for us. I hope any it is clear, inshallah. So here basically the author is saying that if a person does not have the ability to face the qibla, it is not wajib for him to face the qibla. If he is able to face the qibla in takbir, wajib for him to face the qibla in takbir. If it is not possible, then not necessary that he face the qibla. While any riding, and he can perform any his prayers. And then he mentioned wa tariquhu qiblatuhu, his the path any that he is taking, and he is his qibla. Fi baqi salatihi, the whole any of his prayers. Wa yumi'u rakibu bi ruku'ihi wa sujudihi akthar. So a person when he is praying and while sitting down, he does yani ima, yani when he is doing his ruku, yani he bows down. When he is doing any his sujud, he bows down further. So this is called ima. This is called al-ima. So this is how we pray when we are sitting down. When we are sitting down, when we are riding, when we are taking any the car, when we are in the aeroplane. How do you do a ruku a sujud? By bending any your body. So when comes any to the ruku, any we bend any our body, and the best any is to make sure that our forehead goes above any our knees. And then when we want to perform any the sujud, we bend further down. So this is called al-ima. So the author any mentioned that from ruku and sujud, it is compulsory any that we do this ima. Wa in kana mashiyan istaqbala fil ihram wal ruku was sujud wal julus baina sajdatain. But if a person any is walking, then it is only compulsory any in ihram, number 1. Number 2, when he is doing ruku. Number 3, when he is saying in the sujud. Number 4, when he is sitting in between two sujud. Other than that, he can walk while praying. He can walk any while praying. Wallahu a'lam bis-sawab. Inshallah, we will continue in our next lesson, where the author mentioned wa man salla fil ka'bati. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Allahumma salli wa sallim ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali sayyidina Muhammad. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasana wa fil akhirati hasana wa qina adhaban nar. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.